Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Siti. I come from Sebelas Maret University. I would like to present my paper entitled Environmental Reporting, Ownership Structure and Corporate Characteristic of Indonesian Listed Companies. Okay, environmental reporting is a means to communicate the environmental performance information by an organization to its stakeholder. The reportings basically comprise of the impact of the organization operations on climate change, the environment, performance in managing those impacts, and contribution to ecological and sustainable development. Usually, the environmental reporting is available in the company annual report or sustainability report produced by the company. This is the example of sustainability reporting, and this is the example of annual report with Astra Agrolestari. This I check as an example. The objective of the study is to examine the determinant factors of the level of environmental reporting disclosed in the annual report or sustainability reporting. The determinant factors studied are ownership structure, board gender, financial performance, and company size. The corporate social and environmental disclosure is mandatory according to the regulation, Law number 40/2007, but the extent of the disclosure is voluntary in nature. That's why we have a guidance from GRI, our Global Reporting Initiatives, which give a framework of reporting, which comprises of the environmental, whistleblowing, and the corporate social responsibility of each company. So, this is the research method of the study. Basically, this study is a quantitative research. We use purposive sampling with a total sample 128 manufacturing companies listed on IDX. Why we choose the manufacturing companies? Because the operation in manufacturing companies usually harmful to the environment, and the industry listed is the most or the highest companies number listed in the IDX in manufacturing industry. So the dependent variable is the level of environmental disclosure based on GRI G4 framework. The independent variable are managerial ownership, size, financial performance, which was measured by current ratio, return on asset or profitability, and solvability or debt to equity ratio. And also, we would like to see the influence of women director with the environmental reporting. The research model, we will use multivariate regression to test the association between independent variables and environmental disclosure, while table 1 present the measurement of each variable, which is, for example, managerial ownership is the percentage of shares owned by managers. Size is natural log of total asset, current ratio, profitability, and solvability, measure the financial performance. Women is we use a score 1 on 0. If there is a woman in the board, we will score 1, and 0 is otherwise. And the level of environmental disclosure is based on GRI G4 framework, with the total maximum possible score is 34. We will express the item in the index in percentage. Okay, for the materials, we use a secondary data. It's come from, as I stated later, from annual report or sustainability reporting. We use content analysis, whether the statement is exists or not in the company annual report, and the level of environmental disclosure is expressed in percentage. This is the example of annual report from PT Unilever Indonesia from 2015 to 2018. And all these report has a social responsibility for the environment. This is the example of it that we measure in the study. So this is the result. Based on table 2, the descriptive statistic, the level of environmental disclosure in the sample company is 11.3% on average, with the minimum value 3% and the maximum value is 38%. This level of environmental is considered low or moderate. This is consistent with previous studies in other industry, which is in mining, in high-profile companies and non-financial companies. So, because probably this is mandatory, this is voluntary, not mandatory. So the level of environmental disclosure is relatively low. From the descriptive statistic, also we can see that managerial ownership is at 5% on average, and the profitability is at 50% on average, which means that the profit earned by the manufacturing industry is considered high. 38% of the company in the sample has women director. 49 out of 128 has a woman director. It indicates that the industry is still male dominated in the directorship. This is the result of multivariate regression. As you can see, that I marked with yellow, I highlighted in yellow, managerial ownership and return on asset or profitability is positively associated with environmental disclosure, significant at 1% level, while company size, liquidity, and solvability, and women on board do not have any relationship with environmental disclosure. The positive association between managerial ownership and environmental disclosure is inconsistent with previous study, which found that managerial ownership is negatively associated with environmental disclosure. It indicates that if the manager also owner of this company, they have more incentive to disclose environmental disclosure. Profitability or ROA is positively affect environmental disclosure is consistent with a study from Denmark. So this is the conclusion. Managerial ownership and return on asset positively affect the level of environmental disclosure. It indicates that the higher the number of shares owned by the manager and the more profitable firms, so the firm would disclose more also on the environmental. The limitation in this study that should be considered in interpreting the result. The R-square is relatively low, which is 12.8%. So the rest 87.2% variables that may explain the variety in the environmental disclosure is not included in the study. So for the next result, we can add the examine variable, for example, the involvement of the audit committee and foreign ownership. And also, we can generalize the result in here to other industry. This is the reference of the study. And thank you. I would be grateful if you have any comment or suggestion in my study. Thank you.